The call came at 2:17 a.m. I remember the time because the numbers glowed on the ceiling, reflected from the digital clock beside the bed. 2:17. My wife thought I was asleep. Her voice drifted through the half-closed bedroom door. Soft, careful. The way people speak. When they're hiding something. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. "It has to look accidental," she whispered. A pause. Then a laugh. Quiet, nervous, but not horrified. "Relax, the insurance is massive. Once everything clears, we won't have to worry about money again." Another pause. Then the sentence that hollowed something inside my chest. "They're necessary sacrifices." Necessary sacrifices. Our children. I stared at the ceiling. The air felt colder. For 12 years, I had watched this woman kiss our children goodnight. For 12 years, she called herself their mother. And now she was calmly discussing their deaths like a business transaction. My heartbeat slowed instead of racing. That's what happens when something breaks inside you. You don't explode. You freeze. She continued talking for another 3 minutes. About logistics, timing, a camping trip next month, an accident, a fire, insurance policies. When the call ended, I finally closed my eyes, not because I was tired, because the man who had married her died at 2:20 a.m., and the man who replaced him was already planning. Morning arrived like nothing had happened. Sunlight through the curtains, coffee brewing, children laughing in the kitchen. My wife stood by the counter humming softly, flipping pancakes. A perfect mother, a perfect lie. She kissed me on the cheek. "Morning." Her lips were warm. My skin felt numb. I studied her face the way a detective studies evidence. Every smile, every blink, every casual movement. Was it always there? The greed? The calculation? Or had I simply refused to see it? She slid a plate toward our son. "Eat up, sweetheart." Her voice dripped with affection, and all I could hear was the word sacrifice. Insurance. The policies were real. I knew that because I arranged them myself. $5 million per child. $10 million total. It was supposed to be protection. A safety net for the future. Instead, it had become a motive. I forced myself to smile. "Kids," I said, keeping my tone light, "how about a camping trip next month?" My wife looked up instantly, a flash of interest in her eyes. There it was, a predator recognizing opportunity. "That sounds wonderful," she said softly. Of course it did. Everything was unfolding exactly the way she wanted. But what she didn't know was that I had far more money than insurance payouts. What she didn't know was that the quiet man she thought she controlled wasn't a struggling middle-class husband. I was a billionaire. And men like me survive by seeing threats early. That morning I started preparing. Not for a divorce, for a trap. The investigation began silently. I hired 3 private firms before lunch. By dinner, I knew more about my wife than I had learned in 12 years of marriage. She wasn't just cheating. She had a partner, a man named Victor, former financial advisor, disbarred for fraud, currently unemployed, which explained everything. Greed attracts desperation, messages, insurance motives, the camping trip plan. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. "You're saying she plans to kill your children?" "Yes." He studied my face carefully. "Then we stop her." I shook my head slowly. "No." He frowned. "We catch her." Silence filled the room. Then the agent nodded. "A trap, a controlled operation, hidden cameras, undercover surveillance, and a staged accident opportunity at the camp." My wife believed she was planning the perfect crime. She didn't realize she had already stepped into the cage. The confirmation arrived 2 weeks later. A voice recording. My wife and Victor in a restaurant, planning the exact night of the accident. Gasoline, a delayed fire, and an alibi. The evidence was airtight. I listened once, then closed the file. That evening, she found me sitting quietly in the living room. "Everything okay?" she asked. Her voice carried fake concern. I slid a printed document across the table. She glanced down. It was a transcript of the recording. Her face drained of color. Silence stretched between us. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. I leaned back calmly. "You tell me." Her hands started shaking. For the first time since I met her, she looked afraid. But I wasn't finished. "You called our children sacrifices." The words hung in the air. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Just panic. Just realization. Just the understanding that the man she thought she was manipulating already knew everything. The camping trip still happened, exactly as planned. My wife believed she still had control. She didn't notice the surveillance vans hidden beyond the trees. She didn't see the federal agents positioned throughout the forest. She didn't know Victor had already been arrested that morning. Night fell. The campfire burned low. My children slept safely inside the cabin with agents, and my wife walked quietly toward the fuel container near the truck, just like the messages described. She lifted it, opened the cap. Then a voice spoke behind her. "Federal agents, don't move." Flashlights exploded across the darkness. Her scream echoed through the forest. Within seconds, she was on the ground, cuffed, crying, begging. She saw me standing near the trees. "Watching." Her voice broke. "You set me up." I stepped closer. "No," I said quietly. "You did." The trial lasted 6 weeks. Attempted murder conspiracy, insurance fraud, federal charges, 30 years. She cried when the sentence was read. Not for the children, not for the marriage, for the money she would never touch. 3 months later, something else happened. My phone rang. Over and over and over. 71 calls. From my daughter-in-law. Earlier that year, she had laughed over the phone. "If you want to join Thanksgiving," she shouted, "come wash the dishes." So I simply replied, "Enjoy." Then I posted photos. My villa in Switzerland, glass walls overlooking the Alps, private lake, helicopter pad, my real life, my real wealth. My phone kept ringing, but I never answered. Because betrayal teaches you something simple. The moment people show you what they are, you stop explaining, you stop forgiving, and you start closing doors.